Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Once again, I am reviewing all of my favorite movies, my top 10 favorite movies. So we're at number 7, and I'm just going to get right into it. I hope you all are doing well, like I always say every single video. I'm wearing my Angela Davis shirt because in this movie they do mention Black Panthers, so I felt like it made sense. So at number 7 is the movie Queen and Slim. The genre is romantic road crime drama, and the synopsis is the film tells the story of a young couple, played by Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith, who go on the run after killing a police officer in the heat of an argument as self-defense during a traffic stop. It was released November 27th, 2019, which I guess would be Thanksgiving, right? It was directed by Melina Matasukas. I know I butchered her last name wrong. Anyway, so that's the director. She also directed. I can't remember if this was her directorial debut. I don't quote me on this. I think it is. She's directed Formation by Beyonce, and she has other music video credits as well. So the cast is Daniel Kaluuya as Ernest Slim Hines, and then Jodie Turner-Smith as Angela Queen Johnson. Bokeem Woodbine as Uncle Earl, which people always call him the evil Dave Chappelle. But I'm gonna be honest, Dave Chappelle, I feel like he's kind of just evil enough on his own with all of the controversies he had recently. Chloe Sevigny, I am saying everybody's name wrong. Savini as Mrs. Shepard, and Flea as Mr. Johnny Shepard. They're a white couple that helps them out as they're on the run, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit. I will talk about them later. Sturgill Simpson as Police Officer Reed. I think that's the actual officer that, that they kill in self-defense. India Moore as Goddess. She's one of the sex workers for her uncle. Her uncle is a pimp. Benito Martinez as Sheriff Edgar. He's a sheriff that helps them out when they run out of gas on their car. Jahil Diallo Winston is a character named Junior. Grayland Bryant Banks as older black man. Oh yeah, so they're like there's like a black kid and a son and father who help them get food, and also like they help him out, with a black man, because as they're trying to escape, the dad jumps in front of the car for some reason. I'm like, why would you do that? So they drop him off at the hospital. And then no, okay, this one must be okay. This is the mechanic one actually. So that's Junior's dad. I don't know why they don't give them actual names. They just call them older black man and large black man. So large black man is Dixon Obahur, who is the father and son duo that help them get food. And then Bryant Tardy as Chubby, who is the son of the large black man. And then Thomas Gossam Jr. as Slim's father. And then Melanie Half Kinney as Naomi, another one of Uncle Earl's girls. That rhymed. And Bertrand E. Boyd II as Florida Man, who I'm just gonna spoil the ending. Okay, major spoiler alert. I'm gonna talk about the ending because it's one of my cons, and I was trying to think of a way to not spoil it, like to describe it in a way that doesn't spoil it. But the way that I want to describe it, I feel like it would spoil it anyway. So, but he's the guy who basically turns them in at the end of the movie. Which, I mean, not basically, he is the guy that turns them in at the end of the movie. Alright, so where can you stream it at? Now, these are all buy/rent, so no freezies, or if you already pay for something. If you have Hulu Premium, though, like if you have it with live TV, you could watch it, I guess, for free without paying extra. But everything else, you have to pay or buy it. Which, like I said, I have the DVD. but it's up in storage. So it's on Prime, Redbox, Vudu, YouTube, Apple TV, I think Google Play, some other options. So we're gonna go uh, and talk about my pros and my cons about this movie. Um, so my number one pro is the acting. Everyone did a great job as their characters and were very believable in every situation. Especially Daniel Kaluuya and Jodie Turner-Smith. They had great chemistry and they really made me believe like all these emotions they felt for each other throughout the movie were true. Because I don't think this is the right word. I know trauma bonding is misused. I don't think this is the right term. But basically, if there's another term for when you go through something traumatic with somebody else and you get closer, please let me know. Because basically that's what happens. They go through this traumatic event. At first they're dealing with it very differently, but throughout the movie, they get closer, different things happen, they fall in love. So yeah, my second pro is the cinematography and the aesthetic, the scenery of the different places like that they're as they're on the run, like as they're driving through different states and stuff. It's just so beautiful, so beautiful. Um, and I and it reminded me, okay, when I watched this movie, after I watched this movie, a couple of years or like a year or so after, I can't remember how long, the Photograph came out and it reminded me of this movie. Like there was set, well, that one was like half set in New Orleans. In New Orleans, I've been to it now, but yeah, it's just so beautiful. Like the scenery and all the different things. And New Orleans is just like such an interesting place. And I'm trying to think. When I was there, I felt like I did have like some cool stuff. I was really close to the French Quarter. We walked there a lot, um, which I guess is like more touristy place. But we went places outside of there, and it's really nice. And the long shots and the overhead shots, of them going through different states were breathtaking. Like especially at the end when they were going to Florida, you see the water, you can see the trees. It was really great. And also the aesthetics of like Uncle Earl's house and how the women dressed, and then they went to this bar. I guess it was like a black-owned bar, and like the outfits that they were like wore, like that they switched to when they had to leave Uncle Earl's house. It's just like so aesthetically pleasing to me. And if you've never seen the Queen and Slim like movie Instagram page, it has a lot of great photographs from the movie, like very cool. I would say check it out. The music fit very well in every scene, including the score and the soundtracks. Uh, Music I really and some of the soundtrack songs I still listen to, like ever since I first listened to the soundtrack. And I feel like the song, especially on the road, especially the dreams. He made a new version of the song Sadie's Benz, like Queen and Slim version. And I love that song. It's just so smooth and relaxing and sexy. Um, and then the songs at Uncle Earl's house. They're playing rap and they're playing Megan Thee Stallion and you know talking about shaking your ass and stuff. So that works. You're a sex worker. That's what you do. You shaking it. You making that money. You're doing whatever you gotta do. Um, and the song at the very end, it was called "Doomed" by Mosey Sumney. I was said I feel like I never say anybody's name right, but it was definitely a tearjerker. It's basically like a really sad song, um, and yeah, it fit the ending. It was really a tearjerker. So, stab. Yeah, my stomach being weird. Okay, my last pro is the story. I love that the story is very simple and straightforward, but it does make you think like, what would you do if you were in this situation, though? Because I feel like it wouldn't be in any black person's favor whether they go on the run or they turn themselves in. Uh, Especially like it's really highlighted in the movie very well, like that people are divided on, whether they support Queen and Slim or they don't support what they did. And I also talked about how with the justice system. Like I was just looking at this tweet about this police officer who did like just really terrible things. He like ran over somebody. He's been involved in some other kind of I think accidents and stuff, and nothing's happened to him. And he's driving with a suspended license. How are you a police officer? You got a suspended license. But basically, the taxpayers, basically, I forgot what state it was in, are paying. When he gets sued and all this stuff, so he doesn't get fired. The I guess the police. I'm trying to think of what it's called. Like the police officer company. Basically, his unit or like where he's stationed gets sued, but nothing happens to him. So they're giving money, but it's probably the taxpayers' money to these families that he's hurt, and nothing's happened to him. He's not getting fired. He's not getting penalized. Like nothing. So that's what made me think of that. Like they definitely back police officers bad and frankly illegal behavior. I should have put that, but I'm adding now. Uh, so I don't think it would have been fair, like a fair. I don't think they would have fared better being arrested, because yeah, they would have been separated and given whatever sentence they were given, which would probably be life, death penalty. Um, and so I think it would be a hard choice to make because some people, like in the movie, would think it's self defense. They know it's self defense. We saw it as audience members as self defense. But then there were also people who, would disagree, like in um, as some of the characters in the movie disagreed with it. Like the older black man who was the mechanic didn't agree with it. But his son Junior, he was down for the cause. All right, now let's get to my cons. And my first con is the protest scene and the character Junior. Um, and now I'm thinking, do I have a problem with the dad? Mm, not really. It's just he seemed kind of like he made sense. But Junior, we're gonna get to him. But I'm gonna talk about the protest first. So there's a protest scene in the middle of the movie, or like, yeah, it's like second half of the movie, cause like 2 hour movie. So like the other hour of the movie, and it doesn't really make sense to me. I'm gonna talk about it. I get what they were trying to do with the protest scene, but it kind of felt like it was like too early for them to be protesting for Queen and Slim. LOL. I'm like, I get the protesters didn't want them to get arrested, but maybe I'm looking like maybe too much into it because I don't know. I mean, I feel like maybe they should protest once they like get arrested, which I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna talk about that. What actually happened, or like if they actually made it because they were trying to escape the U.S. Once they actually made it to the other country, I feel like they could protest them not being extradited. I feel like that would have made more sense. Um, but not when they're just like on the run. I don't know. To me, it didn't really make any sense because they like let them go, and it's like I, I don't know. I feel like once they got to the final whatever they were gonna do, I feel like that would have made more sense to protest, like protest them being arrested, or protest them, not being brought back to the country. Basically, that's what I think. And then Junior felt like an unnecessary character to me because like there were already characters in support of them, like the large black man and Chubby, like the father and son were, you know, like the dad asked them were they Black Panthers, power up to the people and all this stuff. That's why I'm wearing my Angela Davis shirt. So I felt like they didn't really. I felt like Junior didn't really need to be there, and also he was kind of like. Um, I'm not gonna spoil what he did, but I felt like it didn't make sense that he would be this overzealous um, for Queen and Slim. It just didn't really make sense that he was just. But I mean, he's young, but at the same time, it's like I'm not gonna spoil what he did, but it was crazy. I was like, what in the world is your problem? But he also kind of felt like, oh, if y'all die, you'll be immortalized, and I feel like it's kind of like maybe the young people mentality, like I want to be infamous, which he did say he wanted to be infamous, which I mean they did end up being infamous, I guess technically. Well, technically in the movie universe, yeah, they did. They were infamous. So I mean, but I don't know. It just didn't make sense to have his character and to have him do what he did. It was like too much going on for that subplot. Now I've already said major spoiler alert. The ending. Um, I made a note to say I know spoiler alert if I hadn't already, but I did. I hate this ending. I I wanted to explain it in a vague way, like I said, but I felt like I would give too much away the way that I'm going to explain it because I was going to explain it how Melania and Lena Waithe, who is the screenwriter and producer of the movie, I think she's an executive producer, um, how they explained it. So I'm just going to have to spoil it because it doesn't make sense. Because I feel like I will spoil it anyway. You get what I'm saying? It's been out since 2019. Yeah. Anyway, and also when I first went to go watch this movie, I got it spoiled for me 3 different times, 3 different social medias. So I was hoping it was not true, lol, but it ended up being true. So I'm gonna tell you what Melania and Lena their reasoning for the ending. They said because I had the DVD, like I said, and I watched it one time with the commentary. You know, where they comment on all like the scenes and stuff. And so at the ending scene, they said they wanted them to be like remembered because like other victims of police brutality, like Mike Brown and Sandra Bland, and how these victims were not known until they were killed. And I get their logic. I do. However, I wanted them to get away so bad. Like I just felt like I wanted them to be survivors instead of martyrs. Cause like when you think about it, the cycle of police brutality and like all of these things that keep happening, I want them to stop happening. You know what I mean? So that's why I wanted them to be survivors because it's like it just if it, it's like I know it's mirroring real life, like you know art mirrors life, you know, but it was a little bit too mirror-y for me. I wanted them to get up out of there. So that was just my last con. I'm going to share my overall opinion. Of course, it's a 10 out of 10 as always. I love the story, the acting, the cinematography, and aesthetic, and the music of this movie so much. It's like it could be, you know, I wish, it's like I wish they could have just been going on a regular romantic road trip, but, but there's no threat to them. Alas, that's not the story as well. Because I feel like it could really be a cute, um, you know, romantic story without, you know, the threat against their lives and them having to self-defend themselves against, you know, a trigger-happy officer. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I did not mention this in my notes, but I do have a story inspired by this movie. But they're just like a bunch of friends who decide to just leave their life and run away. That's it. Um, but now I'm thinking maybe I want to put it in like a romantic, like a setting or something. So maybe I'll change it again because I already changed it from one thing to another. But yeah, I really want a black road trip where you're just having a good time. It reminds me of the movie The Photograph. Um, Even though like part of it, like it was going between, the photograph was about a woman whose mother passed away, and she finds I think she finds a photograph. It's with Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield. Yeah, and I think she wants to know like the history behind the photos. And she also starts dating Lakeith Stanfield during the movie, and yeah, it just talks about the beginning of their love story. And it talks about the mom's love story and Issa Rae's character. I forgot her name. I don't know the main character's name. I forgot. Finding her father and you know learning about her mom's past and the scenes with New Orleans. Sorry, I'm a little stuffy. The scenes with New Orleans was so just beautiful. I ah I just love New Orleans. I want to go back. I really do. Um, but the mom story kind of was more interesting to me than the main Issa Rae story. But you know, that's a different matter. But yeah, I just, you know, it'd be nice to have a black road trip movie, romantic road trip movie, without them, having to go on the run, without them potentially being killed. You know what I mean? But, you know, but it just looks so nice, and they really grew closer along the way. Like the cinematography and the aesthetics look so nice. And I think that the movie is such a visually stunning and thought-provoking movie. Because when you think about it, like, what would you do? What would I do? I don't know. I would hope to never be in this situation because I feel like it's kind of like just a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? You get arrested, you know, the law is on the dead police officer's side. You go on the run, you can get captured, you can get killed, um, because they consider you armed and dangerous, uh, which they didn't hurt anybody else, but I think, but they kept the gun from the police officer. They don't know, you know what I mean? It's a whole thing. But yeah, it's just it's an intense thing to think about, honestly. But I want to go on a rant about what the ending I actually would have wanted. So like I said, I wanted them to get up out of there, get on the plane, get themselves to Cuba. It could have been so interesting to see if they went to Cuba, would they have been able to stay, or would they have been extradited back to the U.S.? And I know they mentioned Sada Shakur, who was in Cuba too in the movie, but she was granted political asylum to stay. But I wonder if that's like still a thing, like in more modern times. Like, would that still be something that they would do? And I was actually reading about her as I was making my notes um, about this movie. And this was when Fidel Castro was like the dictator, and he gave her political asylum. So I don't know. That was like in the 70s, or no, she came in the 80s. She came in 1984, and she was granted. So I'm guessing she's granted for life. So I don't know how that would work now. I think, from what I read, they're still trying to extradite her. So I'm guessing that they don't have any like extradition laws that translate to the U.S. being able to extradite people still. I know some places have laws where they do extradite people, but some people escape to certain countries because they don't. So, like for example, Roman Polanski, who really should be locked up. I forgot what country he's in, but I guess they don't have the extradited like jurisdiction, like the U.S. doesn't have it, so that's why he's not brought back to the U.S. Um, I think they could have definitely been remembered um, without having to be killed. I have a typo. Um, but I just said the right thing. I said with having to be killed. I meant without. I think they still could have been political symbols while in another country. I really just wanted them to be able to like build their own life. Because at the end, when he was like, "I would have kissed all your scars and all these things," and she was like, "Can I be your legacy?" And I was like, ah. Because I knew what was gonna happen. I mean, because I got spoiled, and now you have also been spoiled. But I guess we all could have kind of guessed that. And I was looking at the trailer. They don't show it in the trailer, but the thumbnail of the trailer is definitely a spoiler. So, um, oh, and I also hated that the white couple, the shepherds, were like the ones that helped them out, but the black man turned them in. Shaking my head. But Queen did mention like that getting help from a black person is always a good thing. So that like earlier in the movie when they ran out of gas with like in Slim's car that they originally had, um, which no, turned out to be true apparently. Um, and I do wonder was like Uncle Earl being wiretapped as well since like Slim's dad was in the movie. Like there's a scene where the police officers are actually in his house and they have like recorders and stuff. But then I also kind of think the last guy could have just been setting them up on his own, which I mean he clearly wanted the money because he got the money. They had 250,000, I think, for each of them. Um, so yeah, he just really wanted that money because at the end he was all counting. And I was like, you bastard. Uh, but for me, I would have loved to see their escape to Cuba, had turned out well. That's what I would have wanted. But when I was also looking up Asada Shakur, she does have a reward for her capture. So she's not as out in public apparently as she was before. Um, but yeah, I mean, apparently she was out in the open. She was doing interviews and just having political asylum and not worrying about being extradited. But I'm gonna say I don't know all the details of her case. But for Queen and Slim, I I don't think it would have been. It would have really make a difference because the justice system would have just definitely wanted to go the full extent of whatever they could get, life or death penalty or whatever. But yeah, that's the ending I would have wanted. Have you guys seen Queen and Slim? Do you like Queen and Slim? I'm gonna say one more thing. I had no idea that people didn't really like this movie until like years later when I was looking it up again. And people also have disdain for like Lena Waithe, which, considering the recent show that she had called Them, and apparently there was like a lot of seemingly unnecessary violence against the black family in them, and like apparently she's a record of maybe um, I don't know if enjoying violence is the right word or showing violence in like programs that she has that involve black people, but yeah, I was shocked because I definitely had on my rose-colored glasses because I only saw positive things when I went to see this movie. But yeah, did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know what you think. Did you hate the ending? I hate the ending, as you know. What ending would you have had? What would you do in that situation if you want to talk about it? It's a hard thing. But yeah, that's number 7. I think number 6 is Precious, which I don't think I have to pay for, which I also have the DVD for that. But like I said, it's in storage, which is good for my pockets because I've been paying like $4 these last 2 movies. I can get a break. So yeah, I will see you all next week.